I've long preached that index universal life insurance is not a stock market replacement, but an extremely competitive bond alternative. As such, it should in no scenario ever be compared to the stock market. And anytime someone tells you the IUL will experience superior returns over time, is trying to sell you something, namely an index universal life policy. Yet that doesn't seem to stop the droves of IUL agents on TikTok and elsewhere who persist in proclaiming that the IUL is in fact a superior alternative to the stock market. So once again, I find myself having to shift into debunk mode as I bring to you yet another installment of my ongoing Fibs of TikTok series. In today's egregious example of IUL exuberance run amok, we see an IUL agent who confidently proclaims that the IUL will outperform the S&P 500 over time. Let's debunk the claims in this video one by one.
Welcome back. This next question says, why not invest in the S&P 500 index fund instead? Well, this is really quick. Just Google, and first of all, you can use an IUL, and I can put it in the S&P 500 if you really want to. I don't usually use that fund, and here's why. This is a really quick and easy answer, so just check this one out. The green is actually an IUL. So you see how they go up and then they, level off, then they go up and level off, whereas the S&P is just all over the place. And historically, if you look at this image, or just Google S&P versus IUL, click images, look at any of those pictures, and it'll show you a chart just like this, a graph that'll show you how it compares.
Okay, what this guy has done is cherry pick a 10-year period over which an IUL with a 13.5% cap would have outperformed the S&P 500. The problem is you can't simply look at a 10-year period of an IUL's performance in a vacuum. An IUL does not have a 10-year investment horizon. For it to perform as it was designed, it has to be held for your entire life. We're talking anywhere from a 30 to 60-year time commitment. And if you don't hold it for your entire life, it will turn out to be the worst investment you ever made. As such, any comparison between an IUL and the stock market should be done over long periods of time, not a 10-year window. And when you compare the IUL to the S&P 500 over long periods of time, you find that the S&P 500 will nearly always provide you superior rates of return. IULs from the best companies have average historical returns of between 5 and 7% net of fees over time. Not bad for not taking any more stock market risks than what you're accustomed to taking in your savings account. Conversely, if we look at what the S&P 500 has done since 2006, when many IULs were just beginning, you'll see that you would have averaged a whopping 9.49%. So the comparison isn't even really close. Again, the IUL is an extremely competitive bond alternative, but when you stack it up against a stock market index like the S&P 500 over long periods, the IUL loses nearly every single time. Let's keep listening.
I'd also like to mention that in this specific image I'm using here, if you notice, they have an index cap of around 13 or 14%. So I don't use caps. I don't use anything that has a cap. I try to look for no cap, no surrender charges, and I try to look for bonuses. So even when the market crashes, you're still making something, whether it's 1.65 or 3%, something like that. So keep that in mind, that this is still beating the S&P 500, and it has a 13% cap. I mean, what could you do if there was no cap? That's pretty much it on that one. Case closed.
All right, so this agent seems to be saying that if the IUL can absolutely destroy the S&P 500 with a cap strategy of 13.5%, which we just showed that it can't, then think of what it can do with an uncapped strategy. Okay, I hear this from IUL agents all the time. They love to use uncapped strategies because, well, when given the choice between having capped growth and unlimited growth, why would anyone in their right mind want to place a ceiling on their returns? Look, here's the surprising truth. Capped strategies and uncapped strategies have roughly the same returns over time. Here's why. Insurance companies can't just give you unlimited exposure to the upside of the market while guaranteeing you'll never lose money in the market. The cost of doing so would be far too prohibitive. They simply don't have enough money in their budget to pull it off. So they utilize an approach that controls volatility within their uncapped strategies by electronically reallocating between equities like the S&P 500, fixed income like treasuries, and cash. This allows them to present a participation-based solution instead of a cap-based solution. Is it a smart idea to diversify between the two strategies? Possibly, but is there any conclusive evidence that one provides far superior returns than the other over time? None at all. As a rule of thumb, you should expect that your IUL will give you, like I said, 5 to 7% net of fees over the life of the program. You should expect that a stock market-based approach will give you 8 to 10% net of fees over time. As we've seen here today, you can always cherry pick a 10 or even 15-year period where these returns might be flipped. But again, it's only useful to demonstrate what these two alternatives are likely to give you over much longer periods of time. So let me conclude by saying once again that the IUL is an extremely competitive bond alternative, not a stock market alternative. Reach into your portfolio, remove the bonds, replace them with Index Universal Life, and you'll increase your return, lower your risk, lower the standard deviation of your entire portfolio, and experience a better outcome over time. TikTok videos notwithstanding. Folks, in the next 10 years, I'm looking to put 100,000 Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. If you would like some help implementing a balanced, comprehensive approach to tax-free retirement that shields you from the impact of higher taxes down the road, head on over to DaveMcknight.com and click on the Connect with an Advisor button. I'm happy to refer you to an advisor in the PowerZero network that has been trained, vetted, and qualified personally by me. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified PowerZero advisor, head over to PowerZero.com and opt into my free video series. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I'll respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.